So that one of the initiation processes for getting into that club is burning a £50 note.
Rothschild. Nathaniel Rothschild.
Mr. Rothschild.
Nathaniel Rothschild.
Mr. Rothschild.
Rothschild.
No, Mr. Rothschild.
Individuals are not just people who are fighting and clamoring for power. These are individuals who have power, they have money, they have resources, and they are willing to go as far as they can to cause chaos. Many people have been looking at Candace Owens and all the chaotic ways she has and wondering, where is George? Probably George is behind the scenes handling all the shaking. Probably she has said on her show, I have handlers. And she dropped it like a hot potato and no one cared to check again. George Farmer grew up in chaos. He knows the aspect and how the model of chaos works. And he is probably using his wife to cause chaos in the United States and in the world at large. How do you think this happens? It just happens like this. And many people would think that this is too much. Maybe it's exaggerated. Let me tell you, a movie was made and that movie is titled The Riot Club. That movie is chaotic. When I tell you chaotic, I mean extremely chaotic. And even when the actors, directors, producers, and writers of the movie went to do fact-checking with individuals who know more about the Bullingdon Club, they asked them, do you think this is too much? They said, no, you have not even scratched the surface. Actually, that's a child's joke. That's to tell you how serious this is. And if you think I'm joking, I'm going to drop the trailer of this particular movie, a little aspects of it, and we will talk to the lead characters and their interviews, which they had with individuals who were well known and well linked to the Bullingdon Club, the director and writers and their takes on what the Bullingdon Club is and how it inspired this movie and how this movie still was not strong enough to scratch the surface of the activities of this Christian boy, George Farmer's club, the Bullingdon Club. But, well, he is the old retired British persona. Okay, let's see how retired and old and conservative that is.
More than 10 in the Riot Club.
They don't know when to stop.
The inspiration for the Riot Club is, of course, the Bullingdon, or Buller to its members. Founded in the 1780s at Oxford University, originally devoted to horse racing, but more recently to lavish banquets and the smashing of plates and other breakables. The club's diversity still tends to range from Eton to Eton, and its former members include the men today running London, the country, and the economy.
I am sick to death of poor people!
In the film, the Buller members are portrayed as cravenly immoral thugs and toffs. The least obnoxious is played by Max Irons, son of Jeremy, and I started by asking him whether it wasn't all a bit exaggerated.
I thought this can't exist, these people can't exist, but we did our research, and they do. And in fact, I think you took the first draft up to Cambridge.
Yeah.
And the feedback was, it's not extreme enough.
Yeah.
You know, this stuff happens.
What does it say about Britain that these sort of dining clubs still exist today?
I think that we still live in a worryingly unequal society. There are people out there who think that their wealth and their class give them license to behave however they like, and I think that's kind of the central metaphor of the story, is these boys believe that because they can afford to pay for the damage, they can do whatever they like.
And the fact that 3 former members of the Bullingdon are running the Treasury, the country, and the City of London. What does that tell you?
Well, I think it tells you that membership of one of these clubs is a stepping stone to high office.
But there's equality in terms of, finances, and then there's the inequality of class, which this is what this film is really about. Do you think that the kind of visceral inequality of class, the poison of class, is more pronounced now than it was, 30 years ago, 40 years ago?
Yeah, because I think class and wealth go hand in hand in that respect. And we seem to be living in a world in which if you don't have enough money to get you to the places where you need to go, then there isn't enough help available. There's a kind of, since the recession, a kind of leeching of kindness.
You heard her. They took the script down to Cambridge and they told them, this thing, you're just playing with it, okay? Take it up a notch. Ramp it up a notch. And that is how chaotic the Bullingdon Club was. This club has been linked to the aspect of very chaotic behavior, disturbing entire systems. And so if you have members of this club running Britain and handling finance in Britain, and you see them, they are in other sectors in the world doing things. Candace talks about people leaving one country to the other to cause chaos. Meanwhile, her husband left the UK and entered the US and is causing an entire chaotic scenario there, allegedly, in the way of the Bullingdon Club. Because I don't understand how you can tell me that a man who was this Christian, this dipped in Catholicism, and all this lovely, beautiful essence of him ended up being in such a club, carrying out such activities. And it is stated, your joining that club is not only about your wealth. Yes, George Farmer, his father ticked the box of him coming from a wealthy family. The next thing was for him to be willing to participate in the activities, okay? And we are going ahead. You will hear about the initiation process in no time, okay? You burning a 50 pound in front of a beggar, that's just, if that's not elitism, what else is that? Please let me know. What do you think that is? Just being friendly?
Yeah, so the Bullingdon Club is this exclusive elitist society at the University of Oxford. It's only open to sort of the sons of the heirs to fortune and fame. So no women allowed. And it's infamous for the conduct of the members of the club who go to the local pubs and restaurants and generally trash the place. They behave pretty appallingly. They dress up in, the aristocratic garb and basically play the fool. And yeah, the book is basically an analogy of this. Of course, Boris Johnson, David Cameron, George Osborne were all former members of the Bullingdon Club. But the book is an analogy for how they acted when they were part of the club, trashing restaurants. That mentality has basically seeped through to government, and they've ransacked the nation, they've trashed the nation, they've treated us all like they do, the silverware and the staff who served them at these restaurants in Oxford.
So one of the initiation processes for getting into that club is burning a £50 note.
Allegedly.
Allegedly,
yeah.
Allegedly. And if I've not mentioned it before, everything in this video, my podcast, my mouth, my everything is allegedly. My name is allegedly Nimo also. Let's continue. As you've seen, the members of this club have developed a habit of chaos. They've developed that behavior that tells them that we don't care. Anything we can destroy and throw money at it. And that is the mentality they go with into the world, ruling the world, running the world, politics, money, podcasts. They just throw chaos at the world. And if the world comes to fix it, we throw money at it. And now we have a woman who is running her mouth on a podcast every day. She's #1 podcast in the world, not for nothing. I have said before, if George Farmer knew Andrew Tate before knowing before Andrew Tate became who Andrew Tate was. And then now Candace Owens has made #1 podcaster in the world. Remember 2022, Andrew Tate was the most researched person in the world on Google, right? Good. Now, Candace Owens is the #1 podcaster in the world. George Farmer, what is your new product? Which one will be your new product? Allegedly. Okay, guys, please like this video. Don't you see what your girl is doing? I'm doing so much work. Please like the video, share the video, share this video. I would like Candace Owens to see this video and explain to us how her husband is this martyrdom of soft-spokenness, but is also a mentor of chaos.
There's strict rules of omerta, so secrecy around the club, which I think speaks to its sort of privilege and exclusivity. There was a brilliant film, actually, you've probably seen it, The Riot Club, that came out a few years ago, which dramatised and perhaps exaggerated what goes on in the club. But in the film, one of the members is sort of, the blame's pinned on him for one of their nights of debauchery where, you know, they trash a restaurant and beat up a pub landlord. They pin the blame on one individual, and then a current cabinet minister comes to see him the day after and says, "Don't worry, old chap, we'll sort you out."
Right.
And that's kind of the premise, that no matter how badly you behave within this club, you'll always have mates in high places. And that's kind of what we've seen during the pandemic and the post-pandemic years as well, is, you know, corruption, arguably, certainly cronyism, jobs for the boys, and we've seen those who've broken the rules rewarded with public contracts, for one, and millions of pounds in jobs for speeches when they've left high office. So what's Boris Johnson made now in the few months since he's left Downing Street? 5 million quid.
Nice.
Nice, yeah. Well, all the rest of the country has to suffer with the aftershocks of COVID and the cost of living crisis. And that's the Bullingdon Club mentality.
Why is the Bullingdon Club banned from convening within 15 miles of Oxford? The Bullingdon Club is a private all-male dining club for Oxford University students. It is known for its wealthy members, grand banquets, and vandalism of restaurants and students' rooms. The club selects its members not only on the grounds of wealth and willingness to participate, but also by reference to their education. In 2013, the Daily Mirror reported an unsubstantiated claim that the Bullingdon Club's initiation ceremony required members to burn a £50 note in front of a beggar. Former members include 2 kings of England, Edward VII and Edward VIII, and 3 prime ministers, David Cameron, Archibald Primrose, 5th Earl of Rosebery, and Boris Johnson. On the 12th of May, 1894, after dinner, Bullingdon members smashed almost all the glass of the lights and 468 windows in Peckwater Quad of Christchurch, along with the blinds and doors of the building, and again on the 20th of February, 1927. As a result of such events, the club was banned from convening within 15 miles of Oxford.
Many of you will now be asking, how do you know that he was there? You don't have any evidence that George Farmer was there. George Farmer has just been this innocent Catholic boy who's been praying to the Lord, worshiping Jesus, and taking care of his wife and children. How can you say he is part of it? One, it's on his Wikipedia, like I've said before. If Candace Owens did not want that there, he would not be there. Every other thing that talks about him in public talks about it. The only person who doesn't talk about it is George Farmer. He just intentionally, he and his wife intentionally avoid talking about the Bullingdon Club. Oh yes, they do. Because they are trying to portray that image of this fine wine, beautiful couple, soft behavior, and then Candace Owens, the loud-mouthed, bombastic Americana. Why George is pretending to be the soft-spoken, very quiet and reserved man, but he has been involved in so much chaos. Okay, now let me show you. A journalist has taken time, decades in the making, to verify most of these pictures, and there are very few that have not been verified. But here we are going to show you a picture of George Farmer in this, and he is not only there. Oh no, he's in South Africa doing what? Hunting. You remember when Candace Owens just got married to her husband? She couldn't stop bragging about how much she and her husband enjoyed hunting in Africa. Please, people should leave our continent alone. What is it now? All right, let's do this.
Now, I know that one of the things that's really helped in your research massively is discovering a whole load of these Bullingdon Club photographs, because one of the first pictures of David Cameron and George Osborne in the Bullingdon Club was published in the Daily Mail, and I think they got sued for it. So there's obviously a great deal of sensitivity about publishing these pictures of Bullingdon Club photos. People saying, well, it's a private photograph, you're not allowed to, and if you do, we're going to take you to court. And so there's been a reluctance to publish those photographs, but I know you've managed to get loads of these old photos of the Bullingdon Club boys. How did you manage to do that?
So, well, I did quite a large article on about exactly what happened in the Independent about 8 or so months ago. A lot of them were just hanging on the walls of a tailor called Eden Ravenscroft. Now, that's the tailor that makes the very famous Bullingdon outfit, which is reputed to cost around £3,500. And interestingly, I also dug up an old pamphlet called The Rules of the Club, and from 1850. The uniform back then is exactly the same as it is now. Now, effectively, a lot of these photos, some of them circulate online. You can find them in very old image archives. A lot of them are in college archives, so not really publicly accessible except to researchers or professional journalists. But I guess what surprised me was that no one had really done this before, even for the photos that were in public domain, which include some very famous people. Cecil